Alright, so welcome back. Today I'm going to be working on the Santa Fe AHM 040 switcher. But before we get into working on it, I'll just give you a refresher on how this thing runs. So I'll take it over to the track and just test the thing out quickly. Alright, so just as a reminder, I got the little thing set up on the track, so I will give it some power. And just as it was happening last time, absolutely nothing. I'll reverse the direction, wiggle it a little. It just about did something. The light came on, and I heard something for a split second from the motor. I know it's really hard to tell, but I think maybe another time after that I heard something from it. I'll try the other direction. Okay, so that's weird. It doesn't seem like it's got a broken wire. I'll kill the power. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's got a broken wire. It just seems like there might be something wrong with the contacts, which, based on the condition of the rest of this lot, I think there might be some rust or something going on. For this video, I actually want to try doing something different. I want to try, before just going in and cleaning out everything, I want to get this shell off, and then I'm going to just look around in this thing, and I'm just going to see if I can find anything obvious that's wrong with it. And if I can't, I'll just take it over to the track again and test it out, see if I can figure anything out. So, currently, I don't see anything that looks off in here. There's a little bit of rust here, and these brushes look a little bit oxidized. But other than that, there don't seem to be any wires broken. There was also a screw missing down here, but other than that, I think it's okay. Some of these contacts also look like they're bumped out of place, so I will have to fix that later. So for now, I'll turn off the camera, and until we find a solution, I will be testing this thing out. So I'll be back once I come up with the discovery. Alright, so after a little bit of trial and error, I think I found the issue with this thing. I think there is some sort of oxidation, like I guessed, between at least one of these two plates of brushes, because if I squeeze this, it's hard to see, but it runs perfectly fine. And then when I let go, nothing happens. And looking really closely, I could see a little bit of like blue sparkage coming from this brush specifically. So I think it's got something to do with the connection between this little metal plate here. Really hard to see. The little metal plate with the wire that wraps around the pole and the brush plate itself. So I think we will go back into the engine, and I will just start by cleaning off all the rust and stuff in here. Alright, so I think what I'm just going to start doing is trying to get these brushes out of here, which I think, well, that's not hard at all. This little protector piece that's supposed to split the brushes apart is not all that great. One. So I think what I'm going to start with is I'm just going to start cleaning off this base because there's some residue of rust there. And I will also clean off this one individual screw. I want to get through some of these pretty crappy Q-tips eventually, just because they aren't great. I don't like them. And I got a whole bunch more. Rust also tends to, on like models and stuff, be able to be gotten off with some rubbing alcohol. Although it's a bit risky of a thing to deal with. So, trying to be a little bit careful with all this. So from now on, I'll stop talking until I get the rest of this rust off of this screw. Alright, there. I think I've gotten a good bit of the rust off of that. I'm just going to go over this thing one more time, and then immediately after that, I'm going to start by trying to clean off as much of anything as I can off these brushes and these little contacts. So, I will turn off the camera for a second, and then I will restart and get into that. I think at this point I've gotten most of the rust cleaned out, so I'm just going to put this all back together off camera and see if cleaning that out's made any difference or if we've still got an issue, and I'll come back after that. Alright, so I've had a partial breakthrough, and that 7 minutes of cleaning and a new little tensioner thing appears to have worked. However, the part of the issues I'm still having is it's a little bit noisy, and the power pickups are out of place a little bit, so it's not picking up power fully. So I'm just gonna take off the bottom plate, give it a little bit of oil, give it some bearing oil and all that fun stuff, put it back together, and then see if it's any slightly better. Alright, so I don't know how, but I forgot to get my little mat out. So now I will just, for the sake of this being easier, I'm gonna move the weights out of the way, and then I will get into here. I don't think this model was actually run all that much, so it might actually not need any bit of clean out in here. It might just need a tad bit of oil and to readjust the axles. Now I think this should just pop out just like that. And yeah, it does not seem like there is any dirt at all in here. There might not even be really much oil. There is a little bit on here. It's quite hard to tell. So I'm just going to go through and with the half of this Q-tip I haven't used, clean this axle off really quickly. And then I will just give it a little bit of oil, which I'm going to have to pull out my grease for that. I forgot about it. That was a little bit more than I was expecting, but I got it all cleaned out, so I think I'm actually about ready to get the grease, and I'll resituate the camera, and I'll be back once I get those two simple tasks dealt with. So it's about 10 seconds later, and I've checked the contacts, and they look pretty clean. Honestly, before this, I thought this model wasn't used at all, but just from looking at the brushes and that one gear, it looks like it might have had a little bit of use, but not all that much. So now I will get this thing situated, and I will start by giving it some grease. I've also discovered just through this that I think if I wanted to change these out to knuckle couplers eventually, it wouldn't be all that hard of a thing to do. Now that I got a little bit of grease in there, I'll put some oil just on the bearing down here. And while I'm at it, I'll oil these little axle bearings. I'll throw a little bit of grease on this gear. The tube wants to cooperate. As well as just a little bit of oil. Then I can try situating these in here. And then now, actually, you know what? I'm going to clean up this little base. I did not realize it was dirty at all, but I will get that quite quickly. And then now I can put this back on and get those last 3 screws on, and then we can go and test this thing out. It is missing a screw. Eventually I might get one, but for now, just in case I have to open the thing back up, I won't worry about it. I also need to get this, just a tad bit of oil. And then I think before we put this all back together, I'm just going to clean off the shell, because it's got a little bit of a rust stain there, and some other things. And then I will be back at the track once I am done messing with the shell. Alright, it's time for the moment of truth, so let's see if this thing still runs. Cannot tell if the light still turns on, but it does indeed run. I'll probably mess with that light a little bit, but thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.